Yesterday, I signed the papers. After months of reflection, countless conversations with my family, and quiet moments alone, I made one of the hardest decisions of my life. I formally gave up my South African citizenship. It wasn't an impulsive act or a political gesture. It was the result of years of change, growth, and understanding. Your citizenship is more than a document. It's a connection to your roots, your memories, the place where your story began. Letting go of that feels like closing a chapter of your own identity. As I sat in that government office, my old passport resting on the desk, I could see the stamps that told the story of my journey from South Africa to Canada and finally to America. The official looked at me kindly and asked, "Are you absolutely certain?" I paused for a moment and thought about everything that brought me here. I remembered my childhood home, the schools I attended, the friends I made, the laughter and the pain. I thought about my children, growing up in a completely different world, far from where I began. Then I said quietly, "Yes, I'm certain." Signing those papers wasn't just a legal act, it was symbolic. Each stroke of the pen represented a truth I had slowly come to accept. My life had moved on, my path had taken me far from my birthplace, and my heart now belonged somewhere else. Some people might assume this decision was political or financial. It wasn't. It was deeply personal. It was about aligning my official identity with the reality of my life. I've lived most of my years in America. It's where my children were born, where my companies were built, where my friends and future are rooted. Holding on to my South African citizenship had become more nostalgic than meaningful, like keeping a childhood souvenir that you no longer use but can't quite throw away. When I left South Africa at 17, the country was still under apartheid, a system I knew even as a child was deeply unjust. I experienced both privilege and pain there. The beauty of the land, the warmth of people, but also division and cruelty that left scars on everyone. I was bullied often, misunderstood, and felt like an outsider in my own home. Books were my escape. They showed me worlds beyond what I could see, possibilities beyond what I was told I could be. When I moved to Canada and later the United States, I found something I had never experienced before: freedom. The freedom to think differently, to challenge the impossible, to build something that mattered. Over the years, South Africa became less a place I lived in and more a memory I carried. I visited occasionally, kept up with its news, and spoke with pride about where I came from. But as time passed, the visits grew fewer and the ties weaker. The South Africa I knew no longer existed. My friends had moved, my family had scattered, and even my accent had faded. My daily life, my focus, my purpose, all of it now revolved around America. This country didn't just give me opportunity, it gave me belonging. It believed in possibility, in risk, in innovation, values that shaped everything I've built. America didn't care about my background. It cared about my ideas, my effort, my willingness to try. That's what I love most about it. People sometimes talk about dual citizenship as a privilege, a way to belong to multiple worlds. But for me, clarity became more valuable than complexity. I wanted my legal identity to match my lived reality. I wanted to be fully committed to one home, one flag, one future. There's integrity in that, in acknowledging where your heart truly is. My children are growing up American. Their memories, their traditions, their dreams, they're all rooted here. And I want them to understand something. Your worth isn't defined by where you were born, but by what you build, what you give back, and how you treat others. Giving up my South African citizenship isn't about rejection. It's about honesty. It's about honoring where I came from while embracing where I am. I'll always carry the lessons South Africa gave me: resilience, humility, awareness of injustice, and appreciation for beauty. But my story now continues in a different place. When I became an American citizen in 2002, I remember standing with people from dozens of countries, all of us choosing the same dream. The judge said, "You aren't becoming American today, you already were in your hearts." Those words have stayed with me ever since. Being American isn't about where you were born. It's about believing that tomorrow can be better than today. It's about turning failure into fuel, obstacles into innovation. That's what drives me, and that's what I see reflected in this country's spirit. America gave me the freedom to create, to fail, to try again, and to reach for the stars, literally. Every rocket launch at SpaceX, every car at Tesla, every new idea we test, they're all part of this country's endless drive to explore, improve, and dream bigger. I'm proud of my journey, not because it's perfect, but because it's real. Letting go of my South African citizenship wasn't a loss, it was recognition. Recognition that my heart, my family, and my work belong here. That my loyalty is not divided, that my future is clear. Sometimes the hardest choices are the ones that bring the most peace. Sometimes moving forward means closing a door behind you. Yesterday, as I handed over my passport, I didn't feel sadness. I felt gratitude for the country that shaped me and for the country that gave me the freedom to become who I am.